wheel straight.
Hey there, adventurers. Welcome to the channel. My name's Justin, and this is our Overland Adventure. In today's episode of Wayback Wednesday, we're going all the way back to the 7th Annual Jeep Jamboree in Tillamook. This is Tillamook, Oregon. If you're not familiar with Tillamook, Oregon, it is known really probably worldwide at this point for Tillamook ice cream, Werner jerky, and Tillamook County Smoker, another jerky company. It's actually a really small little town, city. Tillamook State Forest, where this jamboree really is, or the bulk of it is off Highway 6, just west of Portland, and then obviously just east of Tillamook. It's a working forest. The state maintains it. They, do a really good job of managing the land. It's a really important relationship, especially for a lot of the wheeling clubs there in northern Oregon and southwestern Washington. Lots of activities there, 4x4s, quads, motorcycles. Absolutely beautiful area, beautiful rainforest. In today's video, this will be part one. This will be day one of this Jeep Jamboree. And if you've watched any of my other videos, in a previous video, I think we were talking about the Rubicon Jeep Jamboree. I mentioned that not all jamborees are created equal. I was fairly disappointed with the Rubicon Jeep Jamboree. It was quite the opposite with the Tillamook Jeep Jamboree. Tillamook Jeep Jamboree is by far the best jamboree we've been to, and I've heard that from a lot of people who have done a lot more jamborees than I have. The tour guides are amazing. Super, super knowledgeable, very kind, very patient with people who are probably pushing their boundaries and the boundaries of their Jeeps and struggling. You'll see throughout this video and next week's video when we do part two, people struggle, right? And this is the right time, right? Jeep Jamborees really aren't for everybody. They're typically for people who are getting into the sport, or don't have a super, a super long list of experiences, and they're trying to figure it out. They're trying to make friends and gain the experience. And so you should be pushing yourself, right? You don't want to, do 2s and 3s forever. You want to push yourselves. You want to do some 4s and 5s. And once you feel comfortable with 4s and 5s, you want to push yourselves for some 7s and 8s. And, after you've done some 7 and 8s, maybe it's time for you to do the Rubicon and hit that 10. So that's the point.
You have all the straps and stuff you need down there?
Thank you.
A little wide over there.
Yep.
I think you want to get icing on that rock.
Either way, just keep it rolling.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We had plenty of cards to do either. Yeah, he's good.
Straighten up. Now keep it rolling. It's gonna be a bump when you go by the rear, but keep it rolling. Oh, you keep it going. Back a bump. There you go. I just get it in gas a little bit.
There you go.
Yeah, can we everything forward?
So we're talking about today, day one. Day one is FireBreak 5, which is, if I recall, is a trail badge of honor. Trail. There are two in Tillamook State Forest. There's FireBreak 5, and then there's Cedar Tree. And I've done Cedar Tree before, and actually part of this video is Cedar Tree. You don't do the whole thing when you do FireBreak 5. You just do little pieces to kind of connect the trail a little better. But yeah, two options there in Tillamook State Forest for those Trail Badge of Honor badges. So we did FireBreak 5. I had not done FireBreak 5 before, and it was super fun. I would not recommend this trail for gladiators or full-size like trucks or SUVs. It is super, super tight, and the spots where it is tight, it is also off camber, and you're having to navigate almost like little mini switchbacks, right? It'll be super tight, and you're going to make a left, and then before you've even cleared those two trees, you've got to make a right through another set of super tight trees, and you'll see that throughout this video. It's super, super tight. And so at this point, my Jeep was still kind of in that phase 2, right? I had planned on, this is just before we went on the Rubicon Jeep Jamboree, and I was supposed to be on 40s and on my Dynatrack axles by now, but the axles hadn't shipped. So at this point, I'm running my 40s, but I'm also running wheel spacers, which made me pretty wide, and it made it difficult. There's just no doubt about it. It made it difficult a few times. So you'll see a bunch of 7 and 8 point turns, trying to squeeze through trees and make turns on the trail. All in all, super, super fun day. We had a ton of fun. Wheeling through the portions of Cedar Tree that we wheeled through. Again, super, super tight trails. There's, the steep V notches. There's the rock gardens. and they are super slippery when wet. And so you see a lot of people struggling to make it up. That's something to keep in mind when you do these Jeep Jamborees. On this particular day, I think we had something like 20 vehicles with us, and there were definitely people who were kind of pushing their experience level or were way outside of their experience level. And so we also identified a ton of problems with people's rigs. People said they had lockers, but then they didn't work, or people thought they had lockers and they didn't. And you get into some of these super tight, super steep, wet, rocky V-notch roads. If you don't have lockers, you are definitely winching. There's no question. And so there were a couple of spots people had to get winched. Also, we ended up completely bypassing a portion of the planned trail. It was going to be optional for just people who wanted to try it. And our trail guide, who had done it before, a few times before with his rig, actually went up before all of us and ended up laying his rig on its side. And so they said, nope, we're not doing that. We'll be there all day. It's too dangerous. Not happening. And so we ended up bypassing a portion. But yeah, we still had a ton of fun on, going through the boulder fields. And I don't remember the names of these obstacles, so you'll have to forgive me. Maybe somebody who watches this who knows the name of these obstacles, you can kind of chime in and let people know. But there's a boulder field. There's definitely some steep V-notches. All in all, a very fun day, a great trail in Tillamook. I do want to thank you all. Sitting here tonight, editing. I'm actually behind. I'm actually editing this tonight so that it'll release in the morning. This is going to be a long night. I've got a few videos to edit before we leave for Thanksgiving. But I was able to make it to my hand surgeon today, or my wrist surgeon, and I'm finally in just a splint. Had a really good follow-up with the surgeon. Everything looks great after surgery. It was a really, really bad break. A really bad break. Lots of chunks still kind of out there, not attached to anything. But the big pieces that were screwed together with the plate, everything looks good. The general shape of the bones in my wrist are where they belong. It's just going to be a long road for recovery. I'll be in this for 6 weeks, so that'll put me at through the end of the year into early next year. And then once this comes off, I can start physical therapy, and then it'll probably be 3 months of me slowly, gradually gaining some strength and dexterity in my wrist. And so maybe sometime around April, I should be probably around 50% to 80%. And then it could be another 3 to 6 months after that before I'm really kind of back to normal. So basically, the jiu-jitsu journey that I had started with my son a few months ago is probably at an end for at least the next 6 months and maybe longer. But that's good. He'll get some experience and I'll play catch up. But anywho, I'm rambling. I want to thank you guys for watching. We're sitting here at 1,000 subscribers. We just broke 1,000 subscribers a couple of hours ago. Again, way faster than I thought. I created my roadmap. It was supposed to be a bunch of stretch goals, and so far I've hit every stretch goal that I set early. It looks like we're going to hit my second stretch goal for the month, which was 10,000 views. We're pretty close. We should hit that probably in the next few days. So next month's going to be a big month for us. Again, I've got a lot of content coming. I've just got to get out ahead of it and start working as hard as I can with as many people who are willing to help to keep us moving. But thanks so much for watching. If you're anywhere near the area and the trails are open, if it's the right time of the year, I strongly encourage you spending some time and doing those, well, really 3 trails if you're capable. Definitely do Cedar Tree. Cedar Tree is narrow. Cedar Tree is windy, but it is the kind of trail that just about anybody could do with a little bit of common sense and, with someone there to help you spot spot you through the tight portions. Definitely do that. And then if you feel like you can take on more, then I would definitely say do FireBreak 5 next. Again, you need to have lockers and you need to have a winch, and definitely don't do it alone. But it's fairly easy that with a good set of eyes, you can be navigated through the worst of it. I don't encourage it if it's super, super wet. We're lucky it rained the day before, but then it didn't rain this day. And so it wasn't as bad as it could have been, but it was still pretty difficult. Again, you'll see some folks struggling. But yeah. And so definitely do this one. And then last but certainly not least, my funnest trail that I've done in Tillamook is Archer's FireBreak. So that's another one. That's what we'll be covering on part 2 or day 2 of the Tillamook Jeep Jamboree segment next Wednesday. But yeah, super fun. Strongly recommend. Those spacers also came back to bite me towards the end of this video. One, we had a little scare because we were on one of those narrow paths that is on an off-camber kind of steep mountainside. And a couple of vehicles had struggled before us. We didn't know that until after the fact. Had I been paying attention, I would have seen kind of the marks in the trail where somebody had slid off kind of down the mountainside. And that's what happened to us. The road kind of calved off a little bit on the edge. We got a little too close to the driver's side shoulder, and my rear end kind of swung out beside us, and we started to slide down backwards down the mountain. I freak out a little bit. The wife freaks out a little bit. I panicked a little bit and kind of made out a come help me call on the radio. It got everybody worked up a little bit. But when the vehicle behind me finally caught up, he got out and was able to talk me through, saying, "Hey, you're good. Make sure your lockers are on, and let's drive you out of this. I think you're going to be just fine." And we were. But later down the road, I got another call from him behind us, and he's like, "Hey, your rear driver's side tire is wobbling really bad." And I started to freak out a little bit. I was like, "Oh, great. What did I break?" But luckily we got off the trail, and there's a little gas station there off Highway 6 where we come out at. Pulled off, jacked up the tire, and saw that the inner lug nuts on the wheel spacer had started to back off. Luckily, they're trapped where they can't come completely off. But they came off enough for it to wobble and rattle, and it was probably part of the reason as to why, again, it kind of calved off and we slid and had that little scare. But took it home that night to actually my father-in-law's shop there in Tillamook. My wife's from Tillamook. She grew up there. And got it into his shop. I got it jacked up, and ended up, I had lost 3 studs on one tire that had just broken off for the same problem. They just got beat to death because the spacers had come loose. And so did some finagling, took my spare, which also had a spacer on it because I had to convert my tire carrier from a 5-lug to 8-lug to be able to carry it. And so luckily I had that extra spacer and was able to get studs on all tires and get it all patched up for the next day. Thanks for watching this episode of Our Overland Adventure. If you're not a subscriber yet, please consider hitting that subscribe button and consider hitting that bell notification as well. If you liked what you saw, give us a thumbs up and tell us what you liked about today's episode in the comments section below. Until next time, keep exploring, stay safe, and we'll see you out there.